I'd like to record a song with her.
Hey, y'all hear that? Phil Spector want to record with Argentina.
I'd like to record a song with Tina.
Huh.
I always knew that I was going to do this review, but not under these circumstances. When I went on social media and saw that Tina Turner had passed, at first I was shocked. But soon after, I was calm and reflective. She had a long life, something that is so rare these days, and she did a lot of living, endured a lot, and achieved so many amazing things. And that's a blessing. It's so crazy how her biopic has become such a big part of our culture. If you were to randomly hear someone say, "Eat the cake, anime," you already know what that person is referring to. We slick turned this movie into a comedy of sorts. And it's a damn shame because wasn't nothing funny about the trauma she faced. Of course, with time, and by watching her documentary, Tina, I noticed so many things about this movie, and you know we're going to talk about it, and pay homage to an unforgettable icon at the same time. So, let's get into it. So the movie opens up to a church in the country, specifically Numbridge, Tennessee, which is 50 miles away from Memphis. And when we zoom into the church, baby, little Anna Mae was getting it. And I guess she was getting a little too into it, and the choir director had to rein it in, but her spirit couldn't be contained. This will be a recurring theme, if you will. Little Anna Mae was hitting them shoulders though. So eventually she gets kicked out of the church and she heads home, and she walked all alone on this country road. Crazy to think that this was a normal thing in those days. But as Anna Mae returns home, she sees her mom leaving out. And to give a little backstory here, her dad was abusive and her mom got tired of fighting with him and she left. Her father ended up leaving a few months after, leaving her to be raised by her grandparents. So Anna saw unhealthy relationship dynamics from the very beginning. So Anna Mae comes into the house, and of course, she's sad and wondering when her mother's gonna come back for her. She never does. Her parents were trash as hell, but we'll learn just how trash her mama was as we get further along. So we fast forward to Tina being a teenager now, and she moves to St. Louis to finally be with her mom, now that she's almost grown and the hard work is done. But her mother nor her sister Aileen recognize her when she gets off the bus. I guess she was out of sight, out of mind for both of them. And it's very clear that Anna Mae doesn't really see it for her mom or her excuses.
I'm sorry we missed Grandma's funeral. You know, by the time we heard Anna Mae,
Yeah, I know.
Child, Anna Mae didn't want to hear that shit. And her mother could sense the tension, and she asked Anna Mae to sit down. She goes on to say how Anna was too young to understand what was going on between her and their dad. But it's funny how she kept Aileen, and she wasn't too much older than Anna. And when Anna brings this up, she says this:
I don't think you gonna come live in my house and make me feel bad.
Her mom tells her that she will have to pull her weight in their household, and she swiftly asks Aileen to take Anna with her to work so that she can get some privacy. Child, a mess. So Aileen takes her to the club she works at, and it's a whole new world for her. And this is where she meets Ike. Lawrence Fishburne was so handsome here. Listen, a whole fucking legend. But Anna quickly develops interest in Ike, and Aileen warns her that he has a reputation. Anna Mae was warned a number of times about Ike and his reputation. But every night, Ike would do a segment where he would pass the mic around the club so that he could find him a possible singer to add to his band. And the talent was lacking that night. Some were lacking rhythm, pacing, actual talent. And then there is finally a good contender, but baby, she couldn't even hold it together. Fun fact, Lawrence Fishburne sang all his parts while Angela Bassett lip synced. But yeah, so the next day, Anna Mae's in the bathroom fantasizing about singing with Ike. She's officially been bit by the Ike Turner bug. So that night she goes to the club and baby, she was looking good. And you already know it's counter time. And she's catching all types of attention.
And I need you stick around, Anna Mae, because I'd like to take you out after the last set. Breakfast. For breakfast?
Well, all right.
So again, Ike puts the mic out in the crowd and the pickings are still slim. And what was that mic even hooked up to for it to travel all around the club like that? But baby, when that mic makes it to Anna Mae's hands, it's over for the girls.
Every time they spin that record, honey, it makes me think of you. Oh!
And while her sister is shook at first, she quickly gets into it. And once she gets through burning up the stage, she's officially gotten Ike's attention. So Ike takes her out for breakfast after his set and shoos away the other guy. Ike commends her on her singing and he immediately sees a light in Tina. Ike was already thinking of how to both monetize and contain that light. So Ike tells Anna that he wants her to be his new singer. And when Anna Mae tells Aileen about this, Aileen automatically shrugs it off as Ike trying to woo her into bed. But it wasn't too long before Ike showed up to her doorstep to show and prove. Ike meets Anna's mom and immediately turns on the charm. Like sees like, and he knew what to say and how to flatter her. They were alike in a lot of ways. But Ike came with the goal to recruit Anna Mae for his band. Her mother was more concerned with her becoming a nurse so that she can bring money into the house. But when Ike showed her those dollar bills, she understood the assignment real quick. Like I said, like sees like. So anyway, we fast forward to Tina rehearsing with the band for the first time and everything just clicks with the band. And we get a montage of her being made over for this band and her and the Ikeettes were looking good. After, we go to a get-together with Ike and his band. This is also where we meet Lorraine, Ike's current girl at that time, and she's completely over it.
Yeah, hey, Lorraine.
So they be tired of the shit out.
She already knew where Ike was headed. This is also where Anna Mae received her second warning about Ike from Jackie.
Lorraine was Ike's last gig. He's always booking ahead now. Look at yourself.
Ike's got a thing for every young heifer sticks her butt out.
It goes right over her head. She was still in that, yeah, but he doesn't act like that around me era. So later on that night, after everyone leaves out, she comes down to say bye to Ike and he calls her over. After they conversate for a bit, he asks her to open her mouth and she does, awkwardly, thinking this would be the moment they kiss, but not quite.
You ain't been to the dentist before, have you?
What?
Ike tells Anna Mae that it's too late for her to leave out and that she should stay and sleep in one of the extra rooms, which proves to not be such a bright idea because Lorraine comes in with a gun and holds it to Anna's chest, scaring the shit out of her. Clearly, Lorraine was tired and at her wit's end, but aware, somewhat.
You ain't even worth the bullet.
And she goes in the other room and tries to herself. I'm sure that Lorraine had her own demons that she was fighting, but this was yet another sign that Ike was not it. Because if Lorraine was brought that low, baby, that's not a situation you want. But Lorraine's attempt wasn't successful, and after Ike returns from the hospital, you know, after seeing all of that, he decides that this is a fine time to make a move on Anna Mae, and he's feeding her all the bullshit.
She stopped believing him. She can't touch me like you do. She don't make me feel the way you do.
This is where Ike feeds Anna this narrative that causes her to make a dangerous promise.
Just like everybody else, I done tried to help out my whole life. She don't let me.
I wouldn't do that.
Ike knew at this point that Anna was abandoned by both of her parents, and when Anna heard that, she automatically leaped in to make sure he wouldn't have to feel the pain that she knew. He made her trauma his safety net. So we fast forward to Ike, Anna, and the band coming to some city, and Ike sends the girls to go get their hair done. Now initially, Ike wanted her to go blonde and have the same hairstyle as Marilyn Monroe. Why did he even want this? And of course she does what he says, and this ends tragically.
Honey, Ray Charles could see you.
I wonder if she ever recovered from this, because she wore wigs from here on out, I think. I need to read that book and see. Anyway, so it's showtime, and Anna Mae hesitates to come out on stage and debut her new look. But when she does, she looks good, and Ike approves after their set and tells the girls to keep it a part of their routine thereafter. And it was around this time that Tina was pregnant with her and Ike's first child together. Mind you, Tina already had a son from another bandmate, and Ike had 2 sons by Lorraine at this point. Her prior relationship wasn't mentioned in this film. This was also around the time that Ike gave Anna the stage name of Tina Turner. Ike was afraid that Tina would leave him like everybody else had done, so he gave her that name to keep her contained and make her a business. Mind you, they weren't even married yet, but we will be referring to Anna Mae as Tina from here on out. But after having their son, Tina was really sick. She had a severe case of anemia, and she probably lost a lot of blood during childbirth. And instead of Ike being concerned about her health and their new baby, he was more concerned about them missing out on their show dates. So he kidnaps her and the baby from the hospital. He also proposes to Tina that they are getting married, and the baby, that is just days old at this point, will be staying with Aline while they drive down to Mexico and get married. Child, she just had their baby. Listen, so we get another montage time of them getting married down in Mexico. So sometime after, we go to Ike and Tina gearing up for another show. This lady has been working this whole time, no breaks. And Ike comes in hot and irritated.
Check on the girls. You tell Leanne if she misses a step tonight, she'll be frying fish tomorrow, yeah?
Tina expresses to Ike that her throat is irritated and she's not feeling her best. And again, he shows no concern at all. He automatically brings up the fact that he has a lot riding on this show and he can't afford for her to be sick right now. This is also the moment where all those warnings Tina received before come to light.
You want to take care of business, or you looking for a way out? So you want to leave me like all them other suckers I done made famous?
Now, how did we go from her expressing how she doesn't feel well, she's tired, to her trying to leave the band? Gaslighting 101. And then he says this.
I'm sorry, Ike. Yeah, you sorry. The sorriest motherfucker I ever see.
But anyway, Tina is upset, and as the show starts, Ike decides to play nice. Classic abuser behavior. And this scene, listen, Angela motherfucking Bassett, period. So after this, Ike scores a deal with Sue Records and gets a large advance. While this is exciting, this also brings a new stress because now Ike has to make a hit in order to pay the record company back. This is important to mention. And during this time, Ike and Tina are packing up to move to California. And in comes Jackie with the facts. We like Jackie. She was a real one.
You priceless, girl. Priceless!
Yeah, she priceless, all right. Shit, she ain't seen a dime of it yet.
And Tina's mother overhears this, and she wants to make sure she receives her piece of the pie, so she feeds Tina this.
Now don't forget about those who helped you to get to where you are.
Who? Her grandmother? Because last time I checked, you were never there. Anyway, child, Ike is slowly returning to his old habits, or rather making his current ones more obvious by flirting with old girl, and again, her mama says something stupid.
Oh, child, he just being a man. Don't be worrying about him. You got yourself a good man.
She was on that, he's a good man, Savannah. But things get interesting when Lorraine comes in hot with 2 special packages, and Ike was pissed.
All right, Lorraine, I ain't got time for your mess.
Playing daddy, huh? You playing the family man.
What the hell I'm gonna do with 2 more kids? What I'm gonna do with 2 more kids?
He talking like he wasn't doing nothing for them before. You should have been helping from the get-go. Were you just acting like they didn't exist? But anyway, they move to LA and start their new life. It's during this time that Ike develops a drug habit, And that combined with the stress of trying to produce a hit record was not a good combination. And in comes one of the hardest scenes to watch. This is the first time that we see the true Ike Turner come out, and it's bad. It all starts with Tina trying to convince Ike to come out and swim with the girls and take a load off. And he wasn't trying to hear that. He starts hollering about how he owes the record company all this money, how they need a hit, and even blames her by saying she doesn't sing how he needs her to. But when she says this, it takes him over the edge.
I mean, but they all sound like the same, you know?
What? I ain't hear you. What you say?
I mean, not exactly, you know? I mean, but you do have your own style.
I'm not going to show this scene because it may be triggering to some, especially if you've witnessed something like this or even been on the receiving end of this. But basically, it's brutal. The kids witnessed this, and by the end, their kids are traumatized. The girls witness all of this. It's a mess. And after all of this, he plants that same old seed.
I guess you gonna leave me now.
And even after Jackie comes to her and tells her to leave him, Tina chooses to stand beside him and even blames herself.
Can't nobody understand. You got a lot of pressure right now. Money, music ain't right. I know. Sounds right. What I gotta do. Sounds right.
Honestly, I would have gave Ike the sweet potato pie special after this. If you know, you know. Baby, I would have been a proud widow. But later, he does what most abusers do. They come in and play nice, even give a little gift. How about be a better human? Child. But to bring it to a lighter note, if that's possible, we go to another scene, and baby, the iconic Ike wig makes an appearance. And the looks were giving. And I love this song.
Tell me why did you ask me, baby? I would have shown you how to do it right.
And it's at this time that Tina gets the attention of Phil Spector. And after their performance, he introduces himself and expresses his interest.
I'd like to record a song with her.
Hey, y'all hear that? Phil Spector on the record with Argentina.
I'd like to record a song with Tina.
Huh.
And this collaboration births one of my fave Tina songs. This is just a beautiful song. I love a good string section and a big band song. It gives. And her voice came alive. Ike's music contained Tina. She was so much more than he knew what to do with. And this would have been a perfect time for him to learn from Phil and see how he constructed his songs. But he was so bitter that Tina was getting the shine that he couldn't even do that. The song ended up not doing so well, and Ike later chalked it up to the song not being white enough for mainstream and not being black enough for their fan base. And I bet he enjoyed seeing her fail, because then she wouldn't be too eager to take on other opportunities in the future. But this song served a purpose. It lit a fire and introduced her to something more. Then we go to this iconic scene. For the absolute wrong reasons. So they're at a diner and some kids come up to Tina asking her for an autograph. They could care less about Ike. Plus, he was rude as hell to them. But this hurts his little ego, and even his friend tries to get him out of his feelings. And of course, he had to exert some kind of power and bring her down a notch. So he does this. And Tina retaliates, which sends him over the edge, causing Jackie to try and step in, but yeah. Movie fact, this was indeed a real slap. Lawrence really slapped her ass, and I hope they paid her extra for it. This scene was a mess, and Jackie, again, tries to talk some sense into Tina.
If you had any sense, you get out of here too. You had me. Get the fuck out of here.
Tina goes into savior mode, and Jackie gives her a final warning.
You a dead woman if you stay here.
And after all of this, Ike's friend had the nerve to tell her this.
Anime, come on. This cake real good.
Anime, just take the cake, please.
How about you get your friend? I didn't like his ass either. So I guess Jackie's words got to Tina, because that night she gets up and plots to take the kids and leave Ike. But instead of reaching out to Jackie, she calls her mama. She really expected her mother to protect her. And it's during their call that she realizes that Ike bought her mom a house. See what I'm talking about? I would have hung up that phone and called Jackie. That told me everything I needed to know. She benefits from their dysfunction. But Tina gets on a bus to head to her mama's, but before she could get there, Ike calls her mom, and of course, her mama snitches. Child. She set her own daughter up, and when she gets to a stop on her route, Ike meets them and gets her and the kids. We then go to another iconic song, and baby, the girls were giving, serving looks and moves. Listen, Angela and Lawrence put their foot in this montage. I can tell this was probably one of their fave scenes to film, but it probably took a lot out of them. But then, here comes another hard scene. We are going to just give a quick little summary of this scene because I can't. But basically, Ike is high as hell. And he's irritated about the song and how she's not singing it how he needs her to. Dude is on one, per usual. Baby, that coke probably got him hearing shit that's not even there. And his behavior causes people to leave out one by one because at this point, they know where this is headed. Shortly after, Ike calls for everyone to leave, and this bastard helps him clear everyone out.
I wonder can't nobody hear you. Your goddamn shirt too loud. You need to give me them glasses so I can look at that ugly motherfucker.
But instead of this being the typical beatdown, it's something way worse. After this, Tina has had enough. She pulls a Lorraine, but instead of a gun, she uses sleeping pills. And again, instead of him being concerned about his wife, he says this.
Hear me, bitch, if you don't make it, I'll kill you.
Backstory on this. Tina told her doctor that she couldn't sleep, so he prescribed her sleeping pills. That day, she partied, had a good time, because she knew later on she was out of here. So after her attempt, she was at the hospital, and she states that when Ike entered her room, she was still unconscious. He spoke to her, and her pulse started going all crazy. This man wouldn't even let her possibly pass in peace. Just a damn tyrant. And in an interview where this attempt was brought up, he stated that she was trying to get attention and be something she wasn't, and that she had an unhappy life because she was trying so hard to please him. I'm sure you laying hands on her every time it rained had a lot to do with it too. But yeah, so after this, she's recovering and she gets a visit from Jackie. Jackie brings her flowers and lets her know that she came to check in on her and tells her that she has a sofa bed and if she needs to get away, she can just come and stay with her. Jackie was such a good friend to her, allowing her to make her own decisions, but always letting her know that she has someone in her corner. Tina gets released from the hospital and takes a taxi home. She walks in to see Ike having another get-together and him all in some other girl's face. At this point, Tina was unbothered, and Ike Jr. was turning into his daddy. The world did not need two of him. Mind you, he says this.
Next time you gonna take some time off, give a nigga some notice. I mean, goddamn, we on the road, you gonna fuck around and end up in the hospital for what? For nothing.
My guy, she was just en route to the king, and here you go with all these requests. Child. Shortly after this, Tina goes to see Jackie, and this visit would change the course of her life. They began to joke and imitate Ike in his controlling ways, but when Jackie imitates her, Tina finally sees herself and how low she's gotten.
Oh, Ike, I'm sorry, Ike. Am I late for rehearsal?
It was like Jackie held up a mirror for her and she was able to see her true form. Tina goes on to admit that since she knows how it feels to be abandoned, she can't seem to find the strength to leave Ike, something we've come to learn at this point. Jackie decides to introduce her to Buddhism, something that helped her out of her own darkest moments. And baby, that's all Tina needed because she takes this and runs with it. So over time, she becomes stronger, less fearful of Ike. She starts standing up for herself, and Ike starts losing his grip over her and her life. Buddhism gave her what she needed in order for her to say this with her whole chest.
Hey, you better come back over here so I can get some sleep now.
Go straight to hell, Ike.
And when Ike decides to try and do what he does best in the limo, Tina goes in and shows him that she got hands now.
You can't do no better than that. Come on. Come on.
Child, they come in that hotel looking a hot fucking mess. With her face looking like that, she was still expected to perform later that night. Listen, they was gonna need makeup that hadn't even been invented yet to cover those bruises. But it's when Tina looks at her face and she goes out to see Ike out like a light that she decides that this is it. It's time to go. She leaves out of the hotel and makes a run for it, crossing a freeway, damn near getting ran over, and finally making it to Ramada Inn. Is Ramada Inn still in business? Child. The manager looks at her and decides to give her a room for free. And the story goes that he even had a friend take her to the airport so that she could go to another location where Ike didn't know where she was. From here, she was able to get on her feet and prepare to divorce Ike. So we then go to Ike and Tina in divorce court, finalizing everything. Tina surrenders her rights to their property, assets, basically everything. She only asks to keep her name. Honestly, her name was the most valuable asset. And me being petty, I wonder how long it was before her mom lost her house. And whatever happened to Aileen? Anyway, Ike and Tina are no more, and Tina is officially free. So from here, Tina still has kids to take care of, hers and Ike's, so she has to do whatever shows she can get. During this stage, she was also trying to secure management so that she could land a deal. Enter Roger Davies, who comes to see one of her shows, and he's blown away. She was giving, per usual. This man was responsible for getting her back in the limelight and securing her deal and really fighting for her. Tina was in her 40s at this point, and the industry wanted no parts. But with her talent and him rooting for her, they made it happen. But of course, Ike had to make an appearance, begging and pleading since ain't nobody seeing it for him these days. He comes bringing her flowers, saying how he needs to talk to somebody, and she gets soft for him for a minute, with boundaries. Apparently, Ike took a lot of advance money and hasn't paid it back, and now the record company is trying to put him in jail. And now he wants Tina to help him create his song so that he can get out of that debt. And it wasn't too long before his true nature resurfaced.
Yeah, that lot of that stuff you doing there, ain't nobody gonna buy that. I mean, maybe somebody buy it, but it ain't like you and me. I mean, when we was together, our thing was like this here.
I really can't believe he did that. After everything okay. But when Tina respectfully declines, he lets it hang all the way out.
Bob, wait a minute, I ain't through talking to you yet, now. Think about this, I made you. You wasn't nothing without me, and you ain't gonna be nothing without me.
And she leaves him with a very expensive parting gift.
Yeah, all right. Wait on, you ain't down to something. I'm gonna see you again, man. What you done did now, you done messed up a nice automobile.
We then fast forward to Tina and her family watching her interview, and it seems like everything is going great for her. And it wasn't long before this good family moment turned bad when Ike Jr. comes over, battered and bruised by Ike, and he has a message for his mom.
I mean, anybody mention you or the show at the Ritz, you just go nuts. Go nuts. Said you ain't gonna walk out on that stage. That man's got a hit out on you.
Tina turns to Buddhism instead of letting fear take over, and eventually she scores a big show. So on the night of her show, she gets one last visit from Ike, and he comes in talking that same shit.
Thought you was gonna get away from me. Thought a nigga like me was gonna let you get away from me. You can't get away from me, and I'm in here.
But this time, Tina doesn't surrender her power. Ike officially knows that the Tina he once knew, took advantage of, beat down, she no longer exists, and there's nothing he can do with this new version of Tina, and he lets her go. And this is pretty much the end of the movie. We see her perform one last time, and then we see the real Tina Turner perform, and we fade out. And that's it. And here are my final thoughts. Listen, I remember watching Tina's documentary a year or two ago, and while I knew the seriousness of what she had been through, it made me see her and appreciate her in a whole new way. I was able to see her strength, her fire, her anointing, her light, and I gained a whole new respect for her. To put it in perspective, Tina created lanes and kicked down doors. Anything that was set up to hold her down and contain her light, she blew it wide open. Only Tina could manage to be a black woman in her 40s and become a pop rock sensation. Only Tina could teach Mick Jagger some rhythm. Only Tina could turn trauma that consumes so many and use it to drive her places that no one thought existed. There are so many lessons and testimonies that we can gather from her life and her story. She was abandoned by her parents, abused by her husband in every way, told that she was too old, too black, not beautiful enough to be successful on her own, and she was crazy enough to try and succeed in it anyway. Ike was a damaged soul that no one could save. He tried to keep Tina's light all to himself, made her feel that without him she would be nothing, and always discouraged her from leaving. He tried his best to break her down every chance he could get, because if she ever woke up and realized her worth, he knew she would fly. Certain people would see a light in you, and instead of celebrating that light, they try their best to diminish it or will try to contain it to keep it just for them. And I feel like Ike and her mom did that. They worked together to make sure that her light, her talent always benefited them. And while Ike was with Tina, she wasn't able to grow how she was destined to. That's why I feel her working with Phil Spector served a purpose, because it opened her eyes to what was possible for her. And let's be clear, Tina was always supposed to be what she became, but until she left Ike, that wasn't going to happen. Her future achievements and success were for her to have and not for him to benefit from. It wasn't going to happen until she left him. Her being introduced to Buddhism gave her the tools she needed to step into her purpose, gain back control of her light, and realize who she was and who she could be without him. I'm so inspired by her and her journey, and just seeing someone overcome and get everything people said that they couldn't have, achieve everything people said that they couldn't possibly achieve, and for once get the love that they gave and deserved in return. It's amazing to see. I'm so glad that she got to experience true love with her husband and that he was by her side to the end. So with that, I will say rest in love and well done, girl. And that's it, y'all. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. Don't forget to check me out on Spotify to watch my blocked content and other videos there. The link is in the description. And you can also listen to the audio versions of my videos on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and more. See you later, you guys. Bye.